Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts are the top 3 quarterbacks going off the board in fantasy football drafts. Here are 6 additional quarterbacks that I feel can finish as the overall quarterback 1 in 2023 because of their upside. Target these guys in drafts. Real quick, here are the overall fantasy quarterback 1s across the last 10 seasons and their averages. What stands out is 568.4 passing attempts, 4,453 passing yards, 40.2 passing touchdowns, 484.9 rushing yards, and 24.68 fantasy points per game on average. Obviously, there's some asterisks within the data set, but plain and simple, you want a guy that's going to throw the ball at a pretty high rate, throw for a good amount of touchdowns, and have some mobility. Lamar Jackson is ranked for fantasy points per game number 6, number 7, number 8, and number 1 across the last 4 seasons. All those seasons, over 20 fantasy points per game. Rushing floor of 695 in his career with a rushing ceiling of 1,213. He has the best receiving core of his career with Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, who is healthy. They drafted Zay Flowers and added Odell Beckham Jr. Joe Burrow has climbed in his fantasy points per game from number 18 to number 10 to number 4 the last 3 seasons. Career highs in passing attempts, passing touchdowns, and rushing yards in 2022. He throws for a lot of passing yards. He's an accurate quarterback. He has arguably the league's best wide receiver duo in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. After averaging the second most fantasy points per game in 2021, Justin Herbert took a step back in 2022, but the team was banged up. He's had back-to-back seasons of passing the ball at the second highest rate in the league. He's shown us some rushing upside in 2021. The Chargers have added Quentin Johnston in the first round on top of having Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Joshua Palmer. My quarterback, Chicago Bears fan, Justin Fields, quarterback 6 overall in 2022. He averaged 20.5 fantasy points per game, which was the 5th most. He averaged 24.8 fantasy points per game weeks 6 through 18. He had 5 top 5 fantasy finishes. Number 1 in rushing yards for the quarterback position in 2022. He was number 2 in rushing touchdowns. The Bears had big improvements to the offensive line. They added an alpha wide receiver in DJ Moore. Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool, who missed time last year, are both healthy. Cole Kmet improved. There's going to be more passing volume. Trevor Lawrence took a huge step forward in his sophomore season when looking at completions, passing yards, total touchdowns, interceptions, and fantasy points per game. He has some sneaky rushing upside. They added Calvin Ridley to the core of Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and Zay Jones. Then Deshaun Watson, who's had 3 seasons as a top 5 quarterback in fantasy points per game. He's had career highs of 4,823 passing yards, 33 passing touchdowns, 551 rushing yards, and 7 rushing touchdowns. Cleveland has also improved in the offseason, adding weapons. If you truly play to win, go to patreon.com/P2W Fantasy and join the community.